Another Wednesday's come and gone, and I've got some comics. Let's talk about them. Hey, welcome to 9 Panel Grid. This week, we've seen Aliens Gone Astray, Heavy Lying Crowns, and the Russian Propaganda Machine. But we're going to kick things off this week with Absolute Superman number 4, written by Jason Aaron with artwork by Rafa Sandoval. This was a just okay issue. I feel like we need some real progression in modern day Absolute Superman, as we spent a lot of time with Krypton, and I've had a lot of fun looking to the past and seeing how Kal-El's parents impacted who he is and how they've been in his life for much longer than Superman proper. But it's time to get the ball rolling, as this issue all revolves around Lois Lane and her search for Superman, as she had her first interaction now, and she's kind of become obsessed with him as a person and kind of what he is maybe trying to accomplish and what he stands for. All the while, though, we don't get to spend that time with Superman. We maybe get 2 panels worth of Superman within this entire issue, so we maybe kind of have an inkling for what he stands for by way of his actions, but we don't know Superman the character. We don't know Kal-El the character enough. So this story really needs some real progression in order to keep me kind of hooked in, because I'm loving Krypton. I'm only feeling okay with modern day. All right, let's talk Batman 157, written by Chip Zdarsky with artwork by Jorge Jimenez and Tony Daniels. This marks the end of Chip Zdarsky's time on the title of Batman, and I have to say, I feel like this last arc has probably been my favorite that he's been able to produce while he was on the title. It feels unhindered. It feels like it was something that, I don't know, it felt a little dangerous. I felt like he didn't care what comes next, because in all reality, it doesn't care what comes next. This is his finality. This is kind of his mark on the title. And I wish we got that so much more, because everything else felt like it was always trying to lead to something else that maybe didn't have my buy-in to where it was going. There were parts that I really enjoyed in it, but this really felt like the grounded, gritty, crime-driven, I don't know, Batman that I really wanted to see, where it was just Batman working on, solving the problem that was in front of him outside of the scope of everything else that was happening, whether that's the Bat family or just like overarching stories. It felt really cool. Jorge Jimenez's artwork felt a little rushed in parts of it, and I didn't necessarily enjoy the combination of him and Tony Daniels all the time. But separately, I do enjoy both of their artworks, and I gotta say, at least the Tony Daniels portion of it did make me harken back to the times when Grant Morrison was on the book too. So I did like it. They both have familiarity with the character. Overall, I think it marks a good, not great run for the entire time that he's been on the book, though. Next up, we have Cruel Kingdom number 2, the anthology from EC Comics, here with a variety of writers and artists. I'm having more fun with this issue as well, as I feel like this is maybe just like hitting a stride here that Epitaphs from the Abyss and that Weird Science really didn't hit for me, where those had, kind of high ups, but really low downs as well. 2 issues in so far, 2 issues that I'm really enjoying. I think that there was a lot of standouts with this issue. In particular, Andrea Mudi's artwork on the witch specific story, I thought that really stood out here. I thought that was the best artwork amongst the issue. In regard to the storyline here, I feel like the last story of the issue here that all revolved around 2 brothers who wanted the crown. Basically, they were next in line to take over for a kingdom, but they didn't understand how large the price was and how heavy the crown truly lies. I thought that they played with the twists that were coming through these storylines really well. I like the horror aspects that they drive into these things here, but they didn't get too horrific, as it leans more fantasy than not. Overall, Cruel Kingdom seems to be striking a better balance than any other EC property so far. And with our next issue, we have Juvenile number 3, written and drawn by Jesus Oriana. This is the first issue that I feel like the story became hyper focused, but in that hyper focus, it lost a lot of the charm that I had. So we kind of unraveled the mystery behind this world as to why the teens were taking this medicine and why they were being quote unquote imprisoned within a medical facility. So our main character has really become truly the main character, as this issue totally relied on just her and the new person who had shown up to the prison, who kind of revealed all of these things, how the teenagers can have powers and they're being suppressed through medication. So we spend a lot of time with them as they kind of try to formulate a little bit of a plan as to how to maybe escape or how to help some of the children that are also being held there as well. But in their discussions and their time together, we lose all those ancillary characters. And I kind of loved the teenage drama aspect of this book where you saw the different factions very similar to high school cliques that happen. We didn't get any of that because we were just too focused on the main characters. So we get a lot of story progression, but through that story progression, we missed out on some of the beats that I would have enjoyed in here. Overall, I'm still having a really great time with this book, though. I'm really excited to see where they're going to be able to take this here on out, considering we only have a handful of issues left to wrap the story up. Next up, let's talk Kaya number 25, written and drawn by Wes Craig. This is the standalone issues that kind of take place between story arcs, and we've gotten to see a couple of these in the past. This one I feel like was very unique and very different, though, as we really don't spend any time with our main character or even the band of characters around her. This is really all about world building as opposed to character building. We spend time with the faction that we've kind of like started off Kaya's journey with, the lizard people, and we kind of see a little bit into the background of how they've, come into power, how they're maintaining that power, and kind of the path that maybe they're going to take moving forward. It feels like Wes Craig is really setting up some big, bold future changes in Kaya that are going to have big ramifications. In fact, it feels like this book is about to evolve into something maybe not totally new and different, but it's going to take directions that lead us outside of what we've seen in Kaya so far. Very quick issue, and like I said, we don't get to spend time with that main character, but we do get a backup story with Jesse Lonergan on artwork. That was a really cool, I don't know, a fun piece to kind of join in on the fun that is Kaya. So it's definitely worthwhile in that aspect. Overall, again, super fun, light issue here. Doesn't necessarily change anything that we know about Kaya, but it gives us a glimpse of what the future might hold. All right, let's talk Phoenix number 8, written by Stephanie Phillips with artwork by Alessandro Miracolo. This was an incredibly introspective issue as it's really all taking place within the mind of Jean Grey. It's all her inner struggle, and it's kind of been what the series has been building towards since issue number 1, which is kind of like the notion of, does maintaining and controlling a certain power mean the same thing as harnessing that power for good? It's kind of like the balance that Jean has been striking here, as we've known that that the Phoenix power has manifested within her, and she's done terrible things, specifically within the Dark Phoenix saga itself, within the pages of Uncanny X-Men. But in controlling it and kind of bottling up that energy, does she truly control it, or is manifesting it and allowing it freedom? Is that truly, believing in yourself and having all of that power in your own control? So they're striking that balance, they're having that conversation, and through that conversation and the narration with herself, it kind of presents maybe an evolution of this character and maybe a different way that the Phoenix and Jean are going to be working together moving forward here. So it kind of presents some cool, exciting things. And I think that's the best thing about this series, is that they're spending time developing this character and really maturing it in ways that we haven't necessarily gotten a lot in the previous, gosh, almost 40 years of this book. So it's definitely time for this character to grow, to change, and for us to see a different aspect of Jean. They're doing this in this book. I think that the Solo X books are the most entertaining so far, and this is probably the top tier of that bunch. With our next issue, we have The Sacrificers number 14, written by Rick Remender with artwork by Max Fiumara. This book does an excellent job at keeping you on your toes, as you really never know what to expect from our main characters. They are all on different journeys that can pivot and change at a moment's notice. And we get to spend a lot of time with Saluna, the disgraced daughter god of some of the main gods that we've kind of seen are the catalyst for all the changes that are happening in the world, specifically with Pigeon and how he's taken away some of their powers. It's a really cool exploration of how these events can change a person and how a person can really grow from a better understanding of their own privilege and their own knowledge. So Luna is really shaping up to be a really fun, really cool hero type character, whereas Pigeon has really kind of become a vengeful character. She's become a loving, caring character, specifically looking out for some of the new sacrificees as the gods are now looking to basically get more of the life essence of these characters because of what has happened recently with Pigeon taking on more of those powers. So it's a really cool exploration of that character. I really love the path that she is on right now, and I love the change that we're seeing in all these characters. Sacrificers continues to be a fantastic book. This issue is no different than what we've seen. Next up, we have Two-Face number 3, written by Christian Ward with artwork by Fabio Veras. This book took me by surprise, and it's continuing to, I don't know, be one of the books I anticipate reading most week over week. It's kind of crazy because I never would have thought that to be happening. Christian Ward is really crafting a cool story that I can't believe hasn't been really explored in this manner, as Two-Face has kind of become almost like the Fight Club version of DC Comics right now, as Harvey and Two-Face have been really battling it out here, as Harvey has full control and has suppressed that Two-Face identity for himself, but it's starting to manifest, it's starting to come out, and now we've realized it's coming out in ways that he didn't even really anticipate. This has all come by way of basically Scarface, the doll, being abducted here by one of the criminals. And we find out that there's a cabal that's working against Harvey right now. But in that cabal working against him, he comes to realize that it could have been put together by Two-Face himself. So he's kind of working against himself now. So this series is about to take a really cool shift, I think. I think that they're going to open up that storyline and really start exploring that. The color work on this is what I continue to talk about, and it continues to really just leave me like awestruck. I love the use of color. I love that it's really dark and it's really, I don't know, a totally muted color tone when we're working in the real world with Harvey, but when we're working with Two-Face in the mentality or the mind of Harvey, it totally becomes this vivid, bright color palette with like really, really vivid, awesome color work. I love it. It really makes that nice juxtaposition between the worlds that you're in, and it really makes it playful for your eyes. Two-Face, again, continues to surprise me. This was almost a contender for top pick here, but continues to be a fantastic book. All right, let's talk The Ultimates, number 9, written by Dennis Camp with artwork by Chris Allen. So this is very reminiscent of issue number 4, where we got a look behind the mask that is Doom in this universe, who is Reed Richards, and we got a good understanding of that character. And I won't say like an origin story, but kind of like an origin story. I feel like Dennis Camp really knows how to craft an origin story that tells you details without giving you kind of old, tired tropes. And he does that within this issue here, specifically for the character of Luke Cage within the Ultimate Universe. It is reminiscent to what we have in the 616. However, we can see the differences that take place here by way of the maker. He's been in prison basically from a very young age, and you kind of see what the police state is like, whereas he is sentenced at a very young age, and he has basically a 1 year to life sentence. And it's sold to him as if this was like, something that would be okay. It's like, hey, it's only going to be a year. Well, then 2 years goes by, then 5 years goes by, then 10 years goes by. So you can definitely see the machinations of the maker and how he's suppressing all these people, including Iron Fist, who we see is now in the prison as well. Granted, it's Danny Rand who does not have the powers of the Iron Fist. So Luke Cage, the character, gains his powers by way of Tony Stark, and all of the things that he's been doing to give powers to people like Peter Parker and now Luke Cage, and so on and so forth. I love the way that they continue to stay to honor who the character of these people are. And with Luke Cage, he decides to basically hold back, stay in the prison, and start to, kind of, I don't know, use the system from the inside out here and start a revolt. So I love that they're really playing with different ideas there. Dennis Camp, again, is crafting really, really a great glue of the Ultimate Universe here, and he's doing so in ways that are really inventive and really something that could be so easily boring or so easily leaning on old tropes, and he never ever takes those boring routes. It's always entertaining, it's always fascinating, and I'm loving this book. And with our runner-up book of the week, let's talk The Rockefellers number 3, written by Peter Tomasi with artwork by Francis Manipul. This is just such a fun book. Like, this is a great slice of life book that really makes me wish that this creative team were on a book like Fantastic Four. Granted, we're getting that here, so I guess maybe I don't wish that because maybe they're unhindered and unshackled with this book. So, let's just go ahead and scratch that. The Rockefellers is where it's at, maybe not so much Fantastic Four. This we get to spend so much time with the characters in each of the 3 issues that we've been delivered now that they start to really grow on you. You start to understand their motivations, you start to understand their ticks and how they work as a family unit. It's really great that we're not getting a whole heck of a lot of story progression here, but it's not necessary as of yet. I think that this is something that can sit and linger and grow because it's going to make the emotional resonance of everything that happens from here on out so much better. I love how we get the daughter character here who's playing with her toys and reenacting the scene from issue 1 where her grandmother passes away. But in this version, she's able to save the grandmother by way of her playing with her toys. It's a really heartfelt moment. And that's what this book is so great at. We get to see these characters and, like I said, get those ticks and motivations and, I don't know, get those really heartfelt moments. I love that kind of stuff. We still get to see the father and having communication with people in the future and also growing this weird eyeball, through his scientific experiments. And what's the deal with this eyeball? What's going on here? Because he's getting closer, he's making progressions on this. Where is this all leading here? That's what I want to know. And that's obviously what's going to lead us down maybe the next path, the next arc of this book. But overall, while this may be a slow burn book, I'm still having an incredible amount of fun with it, and I think it's worthwhile. And with our top comic of the week, let's talk Poison Ivy number 30, written by G. Willow Wilson with artwork by Marcio Takara. I think this has been a theme with me recently is like I've been using the word fun a lot. Everything is fun. This is fun. That is fun. Well, let me tell you, this book is fun. I'm having an incredible amount of fun with this book here, and it's really all because of the way that G. Willow Wilson is writing the character of Pamela Isley. She's this reluctant hero, and it's like at first it was like she was reluctant to be the champion of the green for humanity, the people that were trying to like rise her up to take this mantle. But now it's like a reluctance from every avenue. The green despises her. The gray wants her to use her for their purposes. The people want her as her champion. And basically, all Poison Ivy wants is to lead a normal life and to be basically unfettered from all of these things that have happened in her past and all of these, I don't know, all of the expectations that are being put upon her. It makes her an incredibly relatable character. It makes her so charming and so, like, I don't know, relatable. It's great. I love the personification that we're getting here from G. Willow Wilson. The artwork continues to be fantastic, and the color paired with the artwork is really stunning. I love the way that even some of the most muted moments here can really pop, but then when they're supposed to be vibrant here, when you're supposed to get again essences like the green, or when we spend time with her friend character, the HR assistant. It's perfect. It's just, I love the way that everything is working together in conjunction. It's making this an incredibly charming book that I'm having a lot of fun with. And again, the best part about it is that it's super, super, super relatable. Overall, Poison Ivy has completely shocked me, taken me by surprise. I'm loving every bit of it, and it's made it totally worthwhile for top comic of the week. So that's what I've got for you this week, but I'm more curious. What did you read and what were your thoughts? Do me a favor, like, share, and subscribe, and be part of the panel. Leave me a comment down below. Thank you so much for watching. We'll talk to you next week.